Welcome to another episode of Arbitration Life. I am Janette, Brin.
And I'm Hana, Doumal.
With the year of the ox, the Hong Kong International Arbitration Center revealed a new logo said to represent the 36-year-old institution's commitment to meaningful innovation and its role as a leader in modern dispute resolution. We here at the BVI International Arbitration Center certainly do salute our Hong Kong colleagues in arbitration. Hana, now you actually worked at HKIAC. I'm curious to know more about your experience there.
Well, it was great, actually. It was not the first institution where I worked, because I was a few months at Exit, but it was the first time that I actually learned how to administer commercial arbitration cases. And the team there was fantastic, is still fantastic. Some people have left, others have come since. I learned so much. It was fascinating. And also I learned so much about arbitration in Asia, arbitration in Hong Kong in particular. And overall, that was a great experience.
Wonderful, wonderful.
So this is precisely at HKIAC that I got to know our guest for today's show. She is a special counsel at HKIAC. She leads the domain name dispute resolution team, and she oversees HKIAC's business development activities. Prior to her current role, she worked as counsel, handling the administration of commercial arbitrations involving parties from Asia, Europe, and the Americas. And she was also responsible for promoting HKIAC's dispute resolution services and Hong Kong arbitration in Latin America. Before joining HKIAC, she also served at the Secretariat of the ICC in Paris, and she's also the past co-chair of HK45. She currently sits on the steering committee of the Campaign for Greener Arbitrations, and she is a member of the Hong Kong General Chamber of Commerce Legal Committee. Please welcome my friend and former colleague, Kiran Sanghera. Welcome to Arbitration Life, Kiran. How are you?
Very well, thanks, Hannah. Great to see you again.
Great to see you too.
Welcome. I'm going to get things started. I have been anxious to ask you, Kiran, as special counsel, you lead HKIAC's domain name dispute resolution team. Could you please tell us more about domain name dispute resolution?
Yeah, great question. So domain name dispute resolution is actually something that HKIAC has been doing for quite some time, since 2002, but not that many people in the arbitration industry are, I guess, necessarily aware of it. It's actually a very quick and effective procedure. So essentially what happens is you'll have a complaint, you'll receive a complaint, and here at the HKIAC, our role is to appoint a panelist who will decide the domain name dispute, and there are really three outcomes. So the domain name will be transferred from the person who registered it to the claimant, the claim will be rejected, or the domain name will be cancelled. And unlike arbitration, it's very quick. So most of the procedures are done within 6 weeks, but at most 3 months. And it has a very high success rate. So where this really applies is actually for most business users who have a domain name or have a trademark and they feel as though it's being used improperly by somebody else, they can come to HKIAC and ask us to resolve those domain name disputes. And we do handle .com, .net, .cn, .hk, so quite a variety of cases that come here. But it is more straightforward than arbitration. But as the institutional role, I would say it's very much the same. We have to make sure procedures are managed, timelines are met, and panelists are appointed that are independent and impartial.
Thank you. And now, Kiran, what do you think are the most important qualities to be a good arbitrator?
Yeah, that's a good question. And I think probably amongst us, we know what those qualities are. I would say my experience as a case manager in the arbitration team at HKIAC, what I thought was, or what I thought were good attributes were obviously somebody who is very responsive, someone who reads the papers well, that's a given, but someone who also takes the time to understand the applicable institutional rules and to learn more about the internal practices. So oftentimes an arbitrator who is willing to ask, pick up the phone to better understand process and procedure really makes a big difference for a case manager and also for the effective conduct of the proceedings. And actually it sounds really obvious, but it's not always the case. Somebody who's pleasant to talk to, who's willing to have a conversation and engage in a comfortable manner, irrespective of how established they are, and it makes for a very pleasant and efficient way of working. I was quite lucky in my time as counsel at HKIAC. I worked with quite a few really excellent and established arbitrators, and they certainly do stand out.
Very true, yeah.
So to follow up on that, what advice would you share with a lawyer, especially a young lawyer or business person who's interested in developing a career in arbitration?
Yeah, very good question. I would ask them why. But really to find out, not to put them off, but really to find out, I think, what they're looking for. You know, what are they hoping to have in their career? And it certainly doesn't mean having all the answers, but for example, you know, are you into the law? Are you into case law? Are you you know, do you enjoy reading different provisions, different rules, or are you very commercially minded? And do you enjoy working with other cultures, different legal traditions? Are you curious about people from different places? And are you hardworking? Because you very much need to be, whichever part of arbitration you're coming into, whether that's a law firm or an institution, you really do need to put the time, effort, and energy into it. And so if you're curious about people and places and things that are different to what you know, then I'd say absolutely go for arbitration. I would also say intern at an institution. And the reason I say that is because more than anywhere else, you get exposure to so many different types of cases, so many different styles of counsel, so many different profiles for arbitrators. So I think it gives you really a sort of snapshot into so many different aspects of how arbitration can work. So it's a really good way to get a better feel for the industry.
Thank you, Kiran. And now, how would you describe your approach to arbitration?
Yeah, this was a really good question. And I thought about it for a little while. And I think it has to be what I know, which is institutional arbitration and primarily HKIAC arbitration. I've been at this institution since 2011. And I think that's my approach to arbitration is really our approach to arbitration. And I think there's a few aspects to that. I think it means that arbitration should be flexible and predictable. So flexible enough to adapt to the specifics of the case, but certainly predictable enough that there are no surprises in terms of how the institution is operating at a procedural level. I also would say that I think the approach is to innovate, but innovate in a meaningful way. So make changes to the arbitral process that really make a difference, but are carefully tried and tested. And here at HKIAC, that's been the case very much so since we introduced our own set of rules in 2008. We've introduced procedures or new versions every 5 years. And there have been some really meaningful developments in terms of fee choice for paying arbitrators, in terms of the breadth of the consolidation provisions, and most recently in the 2018 iteration of the rules, the use of technology and how that can help to ensure that arbitrations are conducted effectively, which incidentally came in very handy without us knowing, but certainly last year in terms of how hearings can be conducted virtually. So I think making changes to how we do arbitration is good, but it must be done very carefully and thoughtfully.
Yeah, absolutely.
So you sit on the steering committee of the campaign for Greener Arbitrations. Could you please tell us more about it?
Absolutely. This is such an important project. And it's an initiative that was founded by Lucy Greenwood, really absolutely amazing initiative and such effort on her part to get this off the ground. And as the name suggests, it's effectively about making the practice of arbitration and the work of the arbitration community more environmentally friendly, really looking at whether that's for arbitration proceedings, whether that's for events, all of our activities, how we can make them more sustainable. And really that's looking at a few things, using green energy, reducing paper and reducing travel. And actually, it's been really interesting. I've been on the steering committee since June last year and part of a dedicated working group. And we've just finished today. So your timing of the question was great, Earth Day, the drafting of the green protocols. So the green protocols are a set of sustainability measures that target the different players. So you have a green protocol for arbitral proceedings, a green protocol for arbitrators, a green protocol for arbitral institutions. And each of those contain different measures that the different players can adopt in order to make efforts to improve their environmental footprint. And so I would say it's been a really interesting and important initiative to be part of, and the fact that it sort of culminated, or at least my involvement in the production of something tangible that hopefully people will take away and start thinking about is fantastic. But a really good group of people.
Great. So Kiran, you have a Bachelor of Arts in French and Hispanic Studies and a Bachelor of Laws, and I actually know for a fact you are fluent in French and Spanish. But we want to know, why did you decide to study law and later was international arbitration and evidence?
Yeah, so a little bit back to front for me, and people who will know me will know that's probably not that surprising. But as you say, I did my French and Spanish degree at Queen Mary quite some time ago, and I very much enjoyed that. And I moved to Paris to teach English, and I very much enjoyed living in Paris. And I wanted to stay. And so I ended up finding a role at the ICC. And I worked with really an amazing team there. I was very lucky. So I worked with Jennifer Kirby, Erica Stein, and Sarah Grimmer, who I now work with again here at the HKIAC. And so I came to arbitration before I studied law. And I just really enjoyed the environment, the institutional environment, that curiosity of people, places, the technical mind about how the law operates and how procedures work. I was surprised at how much I sort of enjoyed it and got recognized for doing a good job. So after some time there, Erica sat me down and said, okay, so what are your plans next? And I thought, oh, I've done something wrong. It's the end of the contract. And actually it wasn't any of that. She was suggesting that I actually go on to study law because she thought that I showed promise in the field. And so I then left Paris and went back to the UK. And I'm from a very not so glamorous and sunny place called Birmingham in the Midlands. And I went back there to study. And I'd left Paris to study law in Birmingham, my hometown. So I studied my socks off so that I could then leave pretty much as quickly as I arrived, and then found myself here at the HKIAC. So a bit of a journey based on experience, what I enjoyed, and then a lot of support from mentors.
That's a great story.
Yeah, I want to say hats off to you on that one for like just taking a leap into the unexpected, because you didn't originally plan that.
Absolutely, but I think that's been the case for most of the decisions, and I'm not always sure whether that's a good or a bad thing, but it's certainly worked out. And having good people around you, I mean, you know, if I hadn't have had those conversations at that time, who knows? So it was definitely having people who were willing to push and push me as well. Yeah.
Right. So previously you worked as counsel at HKIACs, handling the administration of commercial arbitrations involving parties from Asia, Europe, and Americas. Could you please share one of your greatest lessons learned in administering cases?
Yeah. Well, yeah, it's actually an incredibly important job, I think, managing cases. And I think you don't quite realize it until you've been doing it for a while, and you are involved with sometimes huge complex cases with the most senior arbitrators and very experienced law firms. And I think the lesson learned is to really know your role there and to value it, and to make sure that you do everything that you can to ensure that the process is run smoothly, that everything you communicate to the parties is done clearly and in a neutral fashion, and that you operate at the highest standard. So I think for counsel in institutions, you have to be good at many things. Time management, essential. Multitasking, we will have hundreds of cases running at any one time. Being extremely clear with your communication. Sometimes you're speaking or writing to people who have limited knowledge of arbitration. Sometimes those who know the field very well. You have to be meticulous and incredibly careful and very diplomatic, I think, is the institutional role. And I think you learn all of those things as a case manager. I think really, though, it's down to time management and attention to detail. And I think if those are the things that I really took away from that experience, in addition to, of course, learning, about procedural and legal issues that arise. But I think anyone coming into that, you really need to be extremely careful and extremely prudent, and to know the rules inside out, so you're not missing anything. But it's a great role. You really do learn a lot.
Thank you for that.
Yeah, very true. Kiran, you were co-chair of HK45 for the 2018-2020 term. Could you please tell us more about HK45 and one initiative that you are the most proud of?
Yeah, I'm really glad you asked this question. HK45 is a really wonderful group. It's the young arm of HKIAC, if you like, the body or the group that encourages development and networking for younger, not necessarily in age, but perhaps those who are newer to the field of arbitration and who are looking to connect and to learn. And it's focused on Hong Kong and Asia, but it's increasingly international. We have regional ambassadors in many places in the world now. It was established in 2010, and I had the privilege of being co-chair for the 2018 to 2020 term, together with Marielle Dimsey from CMS in Hong Kong and Duncan Watson at Queen Emmanuel in Hong Kong, as well as a number of really fantastic committee members who were diverse in representation, as well as legal jurisdiction experience. And it was just a really wonderful experience, and it tested me. It was the first time I was leading, if you want to call it that, something that I wasn't necessarily sure I could do, but it was really good fun working with the co-chairs, very supportive of one another. And we actually had our term partway through the pandemic. And so us, like many, had to decide how we change up the events that we do and the initiatives that we do to make sure that we continue to do something, to do anything. And out of that emerged probably one of the things that I'm most proud of, which was the HK45 virtual fireside chat series that focused on showcasing female talent in arbitration. Just a short backstory there. So HK45 had always done in-person fireside chats with very established and eminent practitioners in the field as they came through Hong Kong. Still today, that meant often the person would be a male arbitrator who was coming through from a certain background, possibly. And so the profile, although absolutely wonderful to have them, it wasn't as diverse as we'd liked. So what this meant going virtual is that we could pick from anywhere in the world. So we had 11 different fireside chats from a number of different jurisdictions, backgrounds, and different stories to tell. And it was really this piece of storytelling about how people start and where they get to where they are, how they felt, where their challenges were, and the fact that, you know, some people may not have been sure at the beginning, others may have been, but basically there's a story for everybody. And so doing 11 of those over the course of last year was really something that I think, yeah, very proud of how well it went, but also so pleased about the level of engagement from the participants. You know, I think storytelling is one of the most compelling ways to get your message across. And so, yeah, really happy with that and hope to do more.
Yeah, I think they were great. I watched them and I think they were great interviews. But see, today you're the one getting interviewed.
Yeah, I'm not sure about that. Yeah, don't think I'm quite there. So thank you, for the invitation.
Of course.
Yeah, our pleasure. Now, when the pandemic settles, which we're all waiting for, what are some of the fun things that we would find HKIAC's team be doing? What are the fun things to do over there in Hong Kong?
I can give you a clue. So here's one example. On that one. You got us on that one. Yeah. But not that we've necessarily stopped. No, but in all seriousness, we have a really good team here at HKIAC. So what do we get up to? Well, there's a lot of outdoor activity here. So hiking, we've done a few team trips to hike the trails of Hong Kong, of which there are many, and people don't necessarily think that there's much behind the skyscrapers, but there are some beautiful hikes that end up on beautiful beaches. So I think we'll be doing that as a group. We can do that at the moment, but we're restricted to groups of 4. So that'll be a fun team activity. And then I think there will be more public wine appreciation. There are many rooftop bars here and many wonderful restaurants, cuisines from across the world. So that'll be something that we're doing. And I think one thing that we've missed, actually, when you talk about dining, is really a Hong Kong tradition, which is getting your team around one of those huge round tables with the lazy Susan in the middle, where all the dishes are placed on, and you dive in with your chopsticks and you enjoy the meal together. Sometimes tables of 12, sometimes larger, and you just talk and you share and you enjoy some of the best Hong Kong cuisine, which is really exceptional. So I think that's probably the thing we will do first as a team, as soon as we're able to, as soon as we can do more than just be in groups of 4. But yeah, definitely lots of fun to be had as soon as we can.
Yeah, sounds wonderful. You know, I've never been to Hong Kong, so I'm taken aback that you actually mentioned beaches.
Yeah.
So yeah, that never registered for me. So I'm looking forward to coming to Hong Kong one day soon. Yeah.
Absolutely, Janet. It's not just the HKIAC. There's a lot beyond.
Yes, wonderful, wonderful. And of course, do you want to ask her our most important question?
Absolutely, the bonus question. So Kiran, we are dying to know which team you're on. Is it The Good Wife or Suits?
The Good Wife.
Ah, okay.
Instantly, no hesitation, which is rare for me.
That is a good show. That is a good show. I wish they came back with another season. I was so upset when it was finished. Oh my goodness.
Definitely.
Yeah. Did you get into the spin-off?
No.
The spin-off, what was the spin-off called? Now I forget the name of it. But there is a spin-off to it.
Oh, it's there? Oh, yeah, I just hit repeat.
Yeah, I know. I've even started repeating Suits.
No.
You know, they're just good. They're just fun to watch.
Definitely. Yeah, brilliant show.
Yes, so thank you so much, Kira. It's been a pleasure to talk with you, get to learn more about HKIAC and what you do over there in Hong Kong.
Thank you so much, Kiran. I really hope you'll come to visit us here in the BVI, and we'll come see you in Hong Kong.
Absolutely. Thank you both enormously, and really look forward to getting over there and seeing you all at the BVI Centre. Very much look forward to it, and take care in the meantime. Thank you very much again.
You too, yes. Kiran. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.
Bye.
And thank you so much again to Kiran, who took the time to speak to us today, even if it was quite late in Hong Kong right now.
Yeah, always a great opportunity to speak to other individuals in other institutions.
Absolutely.
Excited about that, yes. So for more Arbitration Life, please be sure to hit the subscribe button, plus follow us on
Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, and Twitter. Thank you very much.